Today is Thursday, November the 19th. I am your host, Casey Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. All right, I'm pretty mellow right now. I didn't know that I would be this mellow. I have energy, but I'm just riding a very chill wave. Also, instead of this is really dark, this isn't hibiscus tea, it's cranberry juice because I didn't make my hibiscus tea when I wanted to. I didn't realize that I hadn't made it until I looked at the clock and it was almost 5. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to work. So here I am with cranberry juice, which I haven't had any in a while. I had to dig through my refrigerator and figure out where it was at. So let me take a sip of this. Okay. So things have slowed down a little bit, and that's a good thing because the past few days, it's just been since Sunday, it's just been back to back to back to back. I called my mother today. I spoke to her for like 10 minutes because I hadn't talked to my mother in almost 2 weeks. Actually, I think no, it's been longer than 2 weeks. Now that I'm looking at, yeah, it's been longer than 2 weeks, I think, since I spoke to my mother. And I spoke to her for like 10 minutes today, briefly talked, caught up with her. I just let her know that I bought the New Mutants because I haven't watched it. I plan on watching it this weekend because I have been so ready for this to come to video on demand. And I found out that it came out recently, a day ago. And I was like, oh, let me go ahead and buy that right away. So I got that because she watches her, she's connected to my video library. So anytime I buy stuff, she always goes through and looks at it and picks out what she wants to watch and watches it. So that's sort of my way of giving back to her because she loves movies like I do. But I did that and I just got some other things out the way. I was supposed to do something today, but I didn't, which was wash a load of clothes. And I was looking at the load of clothes and I was like, you know what? This is gonna wait till this weekend. Because I'm just like, I want to just slow down and relax a little bit. And yeah. So I'm just mellow. That's why I'm rambling right now. I'm going to get to the daily thought, which won't be that long. Gosh, if only you knew. So my daily thought, I think about all of the people that I've dealt with over the years. And I think about what they were called. And one thing that I noticed, and it's changed over time, because especially in corporate environments, the way that they do things is more of let's be everyone's friend approach instead of having the traditional corporate environment. And because the new approach is now let's be everyone's friend, people usually communicate with each other on a first name basis, even with executives. Executives communicate with each other on the first name basis. However, for me, I don't, that's not really my thing in the sense of, okay, let me back that up because I didn't articulate that correctly. I prefer to communicate on a first name basis. Communicating with someone on a last name basis is not my thing. I prefer to, if I can't call you by your first name, then I will usually I will not say your name. I'll just say, excuse me during such and such or whatever. Or if I approach an individual, I'll make sure that I have their attention so they know I'm talking directly to them. And then I'll say whatever it is or ask whatever it is I need to ask. But for some people, over the years, I noticed like they want to be called by their last name. Like, call me, Mr. Kleinsmith. I'm just making up a name. Call me Mr. Kleinsmith or whatever. Don't call me Rob. Call me Mr. Kleinsmith. And I've never really been into that at all with the last name thing, because I know some people say it's a way of showing respect. Now, what I will do sometimes, if someone is older in the sense of, and it's not a work environment, and this is me originally being from the South, what I know I do and what some other people do will say Mr. or Mrs. and then use their first name instead of their last name, is what we would do. Like when I moved back to Los Angeles for a year, I stayed with an older woman before I was able to get my own place and not have roommates. Thank goodness. But I stayed with an older woman, and out of respect, I didn't call her by her first name, but I didn't call her last name either. I just said, Miss, and then I said her first name. And I guess it took a while for her to get used to, because it's not a traditional thing here in Los Angeles. In addition to that, she was also Filipina too, which she's the mother of the girl who I used to be really, really good friends with. The one I mentioned before. I believe I mentioned it during my episode about trust, which, as I said before, I don't wish anything bad on my former friend, because at her heart, she's a sweet girl. It's just the friendship had run its course and stuff. But while I was staying with her mother at the time, I would always call her mother I would say Miss and then the first name and do it that way. So, and I was just thinking about that. That's why I was like, I'm gonna do this for my daily thought. It might be kind of bland or whatever, but yeah, because it's weird how in some areas, some people still feel that, oh, you don't know me to call me by my first name, so call me by my last name, which I can understand that to a certain degree, but also one thing that I'm really big on is classism. I talk about that a lot on my political channel about class, 'cause I can't stand classism. And classism comes in many forms. It isn't just, oh, well, this person has more money than this person, or this person works at this type of job and this person works at that type of job. Classism comes in many forms. Classism is exactly that. A class is a group. If you have one group over here and you treat that group differently than the group over there, in my eyes, that is a form of classism. I gave this example on my other channel, because some people may not see this. When you go to the grocery store, if you go to the 10 items or 15 items or less line, that is an example of classism. It's the truth. And yeah, it makes things more expedient for the people who only have a few groceries and just need to get through versus the person who might have, 20, 30, 40, or 50 items. However, you're separating two groups. You're separating two classes of people. You're separating the class of people who have the 15 items or less and the class of people who have more than 15 items. And with the last name thing, I look at it as, well, you're saying this class of people, I will treat you differently than this class of people. So if you're in a work environment and you have your coworkers and then you have the executives and the CEO and so forth, if you go up to Rob, the CEO of the company, and you have I'm trying to think, Tim, since I'm watching YouTube at the same time it's on mute. So, and you have Tim, who's a coworker, and you're calling Tim, but you're calling Rob Mr. Kleinsmith. You're separating the two classes of people. You're implying, it almost implies that one is better than the other just because one is the CEO and one is a regular coworker. And the respect is in the action itself, where, okay, you both can earn respect, but you shouldn't treat them differently just because one has a title where they're the CEO and the other one is a coworker. Everyone should be treated equally. And that's how I feel. Now, like I said before, with older people, yeah, if you know their first name and you want to call them Mr. or Mrs. whatever, that's a sign of showing respect because of older age. And that in itself is also classism too, because you're saying this class of people, you're treating them differently than the other class of people. For me, I just don't like to treat people differently. I do my best to treat everyone the same across the board, regardless of who they are, what their background is, what their occupation is, what their title is within a company that I may work for. It doesn't matter. And when people try to say, oh, well, call me by my last name, I'm like, okay, fine. Well, then you call me by my last name. I'm going to pull rank. My last name is more recognizable than yours. So, okay, call you Mr. Okay, you call me Mr. Kennedy. If we're going to do that. So I've just never really been into that. And I think the biggest reason why is because I feel like we're elevating one group and not elevating the other group. So yeah, that's why I've always been funny about that. But that's just me. Everyone's different. Like I said, I always say, and with my caveats and everything, we're all individuals. And what may, throw someone off may not throw another person off. But for me, that's always thrown me off for some reason. And I treat people pretty much the same, unless they get on my nerves. But for the most part, yeah, I don't care what your background is. That's just me. So that's really all I have for my daily thought. I'm about to take another sip of this cranberry juice. So this weekend coming up, I have to figure out what I'm doing because I honestly don't know. Let me take a look. I think it's a sports weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a sports weekend where I'm going to do a, because I did album. No! Oh, it's Wacky News. Wacky News. Okay. This weekend is a Wacky News weekend. All right, so I got to find some crazy story or two to talk about this weekend. So yeah, it'll be a Wacky News weekend. So I'm going to be looking for stories tomorrow. So when Saturday and Sunday come, which I don't know when the episode will be uploaded, because it depends on when I record it and everything else. I will do my best. I'm not making any promises. I will do my best to upload it on Saturday. That is my goal. upload it on Saturday. That's the goal. So we'll see what happens, what stories I can dig up for wacky news, because I love wacky news. So yeah, so it'll be a wacky news weekend, and then of course tomorrow will just be a daily thought. And what in the hell is falling down? Oh, that's aluminum foil. I'm like, what is going on over there? But yeah, that's what it'll be. Anyways, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform, KIRWKC, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook.com/KIRWKC. If you're watching this on YouTube or Daily Motion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, followed by the notification bell. That will let you know when I upload new videos. And thank you to everyone who has taken the time to listen to the episodes and support the show. I really appreciate it. Whether you're in the United States, Ireland, Canada, or wherever you may be listening to this podcast, I sincerely appreciate the support. Until next time, be blessed.